Hi everyone, it's Terri from the Gypsy Magpie, and I've got a junk journal project today for the Graphics Fairy. Today's project actually starts with a purchased journal. Normally for these projects we make the entire thing from scratch, but a couple months ago I was in the scrapbook store and I was kind of intrigued that Tim Holtz is now making it's a very thin chipboard, but it's like a folio, and I thought this was kind of cool for people who maybe have never made a journal before but wanted to give it a try. This was a great way to do it. So I went ahead and bought it. It was like 12 bucks, so it wasn't very expensive. The basic structure of it is printed with a design, and it's kind of in his style. All I did to embellish the cover, front and back, I added these. These are faux postage stamps from one of the bundles off the premium member site. And I also added this thin strip with the quote on here. It's a bookmark, and it's from the Anne of Green Gables bundle. These were really cute. They have some nice vintage images on there. Each one of them has a great quote from the book. And all I did was cut that strip out and adhere it to the front, and that I was completely done with that. The folio has these little elastic bands, and you let go of them and this opens up. And so this is why I thought this was kind of a cool way for people who maybe had never created a junk journal. You get this basic structure. The structure is, this cover that opens up, and you've got these flaps, and then you work from there. Basically you do whatever you want to do. So I actually had a really good time putting this together. I was pleasantly surprised. I thought it might be a little sad since I didn't get to do quite as much work, but in all reality, once I started to play inside, it was just like making a junk journal from scratch, and I had a really good time. So I worked from across many bundles. I find that happens whenever I work on a junk journal. I love to shop through the different bundles on the premium member site. I also really love to play with the printables. And so I think the majority of what filled this journal up almost came exclusively from the printables that are on the site. So I'll try and do my best to name off where they all came from. But I did a lot of printing across a lot of different bundles. So I started off inside cover. This little, I guess it's just like a corner journal pocket, came from one of the wedding bundles in the printable section. These are two that I didn't use, but they're gorgeous. So you can see they're printed. Everything you need is right there. You cut them out, you fold, and you glue them on. It made a fantastic pocket. I have tucked inside. I've got some images printed out. I believe these came from, oh my goodness, it's the collaged mini ephemera. I printed a lot of the pink and yellow journal cards. Pink and yellow flowers are used as journal cards. I've got Scents and Soaps did a lot of the labels, which we'll show a little bit later. I had such a good time. I think this is the mini ephemera collage. This is beautiful. I love this. And these I can journal on the back if I want, or I can just leave them as is. This, I absolutely love this. This came, this journaling block came from the mini planner icons. And I just printed them out on copy paper. And I definitely will use them to journal. So what I've done was I just glued it in here. So that actually doesn't come out. That's permanently in there. But I really, really liked it. And I used a couple of them throughout. So just some little goodies tuck in there. More of the postage stamps. This down here, I glued onto one of the flaps. And this was from the Collage Mini Ephemera Bundle. And you can see I've got a quote on there. I love to add quotes to my books. Most of the time I just find things I like and I type them out and print them and cut them into strips and use them. For this, I used some stickers from the Ideology line. And I mean, they're very, very random, but they're so much fun. This one, they come in different themes. This one, I don't know that this one actually has it. It just says Clippings sticker book. They have some really snarky ones, which I love. That is another set. There's one set called Chit Chat. They have seasonal ones. So if you don't want to take the time to type out and print your own, these are a great option. They add a nice little element. So I've got those little quotes here and there, so that's where By the Light of the Moon came from. Oh, I should also mention this journal is actually the exact size of a standard traveler's notebook. This is 8 1/4 by 5 inches. So that is standard size, which means you could buy one of the pre-made, maybe like a Moleskine Cahier would fit in here. You could make your own little inserts with even just some printed papers, print it out 8 1/2 by 11, do a little bit of trimming and fold in half and create your own signatures. That would also be really fun in this. For this first little flip in here, this is just out of the family album pages. We've got, oh, I thought I had a sample. Oh, I do. These print out like this. You can leave them as is. I like to cut that center out. And until I have photos, I normally on my projects, I just put a little bit of sheet music. When I do have a photo, I'll replace the sheet music. I like the tabs. I was able to use a lot of them through here. This one's, I put happiness on there. This is from the Tabs and Labels PDF. And these are so pretty. You'll find this one inside the Scents and Soaps bundle. But the easiest way to find printables is to just under the headers at the top, she's got a drop down for printables. There must be hundreds in there, and they're all by theme, so it's really easy to browse. I have ended up using this particular PDF throughout a lot of the journals that I do, my monthly journals, because these are the prettiest tabs. And she's got tabs like this within different bundles. So take a look and see what's there. They're really pretty. This page here came from, there are a lot of journal pages that print out as like a 2-page journal spread. I print onto regular copy paper. I used to print for my journals, I used to print on cardstock, and I found it adds quite a bit of bulk where I don't always need it. So I now just print onto copy paper. These are intended to print. You trim off the narrow white strip, you fold them in half, and you can use them just like that as your signatures in a journal. You can also, if you have the ability to print two-sided with just a single pass through your printer, you can do that. Or My home printer won't do that. So I send it through the printer one way. I take it out, I flip them, making sure the orientation is correct, and I run them through again and print a different image on the back, and that way you end up with printing on front and back. Another thing you could do is you could tea dye or coffee dye your paper, iron it out flat, and you can send that through your printer, and it'll give you a finished side. So some of the pages in here were printed exactly like this. This one, I am not certain where this one came from, the bundle it came from. I do not have that on my notes, so I will have to go back and add that into the post. I added a lot of florals. This one came from the pink and yellow flowers. It's just a journal card. And again, I'm using a little plate off of that tabs and labels bundle. This page is beautiful. This is another one of those 2-page journal spreads. This was one side, and I mean, the collaging is already there. There's nothing I need to add. There's enough light space. I can add my own journaling. I could put a photo if I wanted. I could also just leave this page the way it is. It's so pretty. On the other side, I've got attached some more of these little journal cards. I've also got these beautiful tags that came from the wallpaper bundle. And all I did for the tag was I printed it out, and they look like this. Let me see if I've got some. Okay, I've got some here. They look like this. I printed on white cardstock, so the white is very stark. I didn't like the white on the back, so I just glued it to a file folder, did a little inking, I hole punched, and all I have to do to finish the top of that tag is take a piece of, I'm going to use seam binding here, but you could use ribbon, you could use baker's twine, anything you want. I folded it in half. I'm going to thread it through there and slip those ends in. I think this is a lark's head knot. And you get a pretty finish to your tag. And it's that simple. They would make beautiful gift tags. The bird on here is lovely. He came from the Vibrant Birds PDF, and I've printed this one. I think I've printed this 3 or 4 times and used all the birds. I made a whole bunch of gift tags with these birds, and I love them. So I've just got little things like that. This page was made by printing this image out really large. I think this one came from one of the masculine bundles. Again, I'm going to have to go through and make my list of bundles. I have the bad habit of I print anything that I see that I like, and I don't always write down at the time what they are. I'm trying to get into the habit of writing on the back of them which bundle I printed from. But I love to just sit and print. I can spend an entire afternoon printing and printing, and I end up with a big stack. I sit there in the evenings, and while the TV's on, I pretty much just listen. I don't watch, and I sit and I take my paper trimmer and I cut everything out, and then what I'm left with is a huge pile of things that I can kind of shop through and create with. And for the way I like to create, it works great. This is a tiny little pocket made on a page, and again, I've used one of the bookmarks that came from the Anne of Green Gables bundle. Really like that. And I had never used a bookmark as a pocket before, but it was great. Again, I've got some more of these mini ephemera collages in here. A journal card off the pink and yellow flowers bundle. Just really pretty. This is just a sheet music page. I've got another one of those really pretty label tabs. This one says home. the nice thing about those tabs is they're pretty front and back. I really like this bundle that's got the girls collaged into the flowers. I think it's really attractive. I've got some more little things clipped on the next page. She is really pretty. She came from the yellow ephemera bundle. Again, more of these little journal blocks. And this page, it's a 2-page, I should say it's a double-sided page. This came from a PDF. Again, in the PDF section, there are beautiful options for printed papers. Everything on here was so pretty. I had a really difficult time deciding where to cut it because it prints as 8.5 by 11 and my page was only 8 inches tall, so I had to cut a few inches off. I hated to, but again, she's already got the collaging there for you, so it's just beautiful, and it made a wonderful page. Let me tuck these back under. And again, more of these beautiful tags from the wallpaper bundle. Little artist trading card size journal cards. Also, I should mention with the PDFs, you can adjust the size that they print at. Almost every printer allows you the option to customize the size that you're going to print at. So you can tell it you want to print at, instead of 100%, if you needed something a little smaller than an artist trading card, you could tell it to print at 90% or 80%. The danger with adjusting the print size, at least with my particular printer, is you have to remember that once you have changed that size, the next time you go into print, it's going to print at what you set it at. So I have the bad habit of forgetting to do that. So I'll print something out once, and it's great because I wanted to shrink it down. But the next time I go to print something, and I'm thinking it's going to print me a full 8 by 10 or 5 by 7, it looks kind of funny because the size looks off, and I pull out my ruler, and sure enough, I have my settings reduced to a smaller size. So I have to go in, put it back to the default, which would be 100%, and reprint. But you know, if you're a junk journal maker, no prints ever go to waste. Another one of those really pretty birds off the Vibrant Birds PDF. Another one of these great labels. So pretty. And I can't make a project and not have a postcard in it. Once I discovered I could print these postcards as like a full-size page, I've had so much fun with them because it gives you so much journaling space, and I love the look of a postcard. So I really do enjoy using those. This again is one of those 2-page journal spreads. For this one, I just used half of it. The collaging, the digital collaging on these is wonderful, and I love the vintage ledger paper look. Great for journaling. The very back of this folio has the metal that the elastics are attached to. I didn't love that. That is one drawback for me with this purchased journal. However, this is the only one that's going to show. I may cover it with something. The other ones are covered up by this pocket. So I made another one of those pockets. I glued another one of those journaling sheets into. I like how it's just kind of tucked in. It's still completely flat, so I'll be able to journal, but I like the fact that it stays in there. And again, I've got some more of these beautiful girl and floral collages, and you know, these pretty journal blocks. Again, printed. I think this was printed full size as a journal card, but then I've reduced others, so just to give me a variety of sizes. I like the look of that. You can leave them white on the back. You can glue them for a little stability onto some chipboard or a file folder. Whatever you've got, use what you've got. That's the whole idea behind a junk journal. So for the first try at a purchased structure as a journal, this actually was pretty fun. I think it's a really good option for somebody that has not ever made a journal. The other thing you could do is you could use this as a template to make your own out of a printed cardstock. That actually wouldn't be a bad option. So it gives you quite a bit of space. You could tuck some more. You could get some more signatures in here. The way this is designed, it's got enough, it's got a 1/2 inch fold, which like a 1/2 inch spine. It would allow you to make this kind of chunky. So even by the time you fold these back up, this still very easily closes up. And if you look, that's a 1/2 inch. It's designed so that you could kind of, you can heavily embellish, which is usually my downfall. I embellish a little too much and my journals don't close. So overall, I'd say this is a good option for somebody that's never made a journal, or if you just wanted a quick journal. If you were going on a trip and you wanted to journal on the go, this might be a fun thing to take along. Buy some postcards along the way from your destination. Use those as your signature pages inside. Make a few pockets to tuck some ephemera that you find along the way. Could be a really fun travel journal. So I hope you give something like this a try. Don't pass it by just because it's pre-made. It actually was kind of fun. So shop the bundles on the premium member site, but don't forget to look in that PDF drop down because it's full of goodness, just waiting to be printed and used. Have a nice day. Go make something fun, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.